The Master Mev. Chapter 12. Revelations begin. The Wonderbolt's captain, Spitfire, arrived in uniform at the throne room of Camelot Castle on Monday afternoon. She had been summoned by Princess Celestia. Guards allowed her through unaccompanied. As she walked closer, Spitfire recognized Rainbow Dash, standing and waiting in front of where both Princess Celestia and Princess Luna sat. All three of them must have been waiting for her arrival. Spitfire bowed politely.
Thank you very much for coming.
Princess Celestia greeted her.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Spitfire asked. Rainbow Dash looked at the two princesses behind her, and they both nodded.
Spitfire?
The blue Pegasus took a small step forward.
I have something I need to tell you. The princesses are here so that you know I'm serious, and that we've got it under control.
Rainbow explained.
Well, what is it?
Spitfire wanted to know. Rainbow took a deep breath.
I'm a vampire now.
Spitfire sputtered a laugh, unable to help herself.
Yeah, right! This is truly the most elaborate prank I've seen from you yet, Rainbow Dash.
We can confirm for you that this is no prank.
Luna said.
Please consider your team member's words with care. She does not use them lightly.
Spitfire cleared her throat, still not fully believing, but trying to maintain a serious air all the same. Rainbow stood firm and continued.
I'm a specific type of vampire, called a Master Mev. The Mev part is actually an acronym for magic-eating vampire. I eat magic now, just about every day.
That's interesting.
Spitfire tried hard to be respectful for whatever was going on, though she was growing confused.
And the princesses here don't have a problem with that?
Rainbow Dash has made the necessary arrangements to manage this transformation. She has a way of eating that will not hurt any pony under our care.
Celestia explained.
Well, that's certainly good to hear.
Spitfire replied, and she meant it, starting to accept what she was being told.
Given that, what does any of this have to do with me?
Believe me, I don't want to tell you, but I have a sense of obligation to do it. It felt like with everything I've done since it happened, to manage what I've become, it would only be a matter of time before you found out. It doesn't affect my flying ability, but I do wear my fangs at night. I could hide them, but it irritates me. And I was not sure if you'd let me stay on the Wonderbolts if you knew.
Oh.
Spitfire realized.
Well, I mean, if the princesses are fine with it and you've got it under control like you say, then I don't see a problem. Except maybe if we need to tell the rest of the team. And hiding the fangs. Do you really have fangs? Can I see them?
Rainbow opened her mouth, and the two fangs visibly grew. She used a wing to gesture at her success. They retracted, grew, and retracted yet again. Satisfied and done with the display, she coiled her wing at her side. Spitfire gulped.
Okay then. Princesses, can I speak to Rainbow alone for a few minutes?
Certainly.
Luna agreed, and the two Alicorn princesses stepped up from their thrones to leave the room. As they did so, Luna paused next to Spitfire and leaned in to speak in a low voice.
It is in your best interest to address her as Master when speaking with her.
With that, they were gone. Spitfire's mouth hung open as she stared at the closed doors before turning her attention back to Rainbow Dash.
Master?
She asked. Rainbow bowed.
Captain Spitfire?
She stood back up and looked on with a friendly smile.
How? Why?
Spitfire asked rhetorically. She stood in place, absorbing the notion of being in the presence of a live vampire, and that something significant happened just now when using that particular word.
How long have you been like this?
A week and a half.
Rainbow answered simply. The Wonderbolt's captain took a deep breath and thought for a moment before saying,
You sure it doesn't affect your flying ability? I'd say you've improved at least a little bit this past week.
If it does, I don't feel it.
Rainbow admitted.
At least, not any more than if I hadn't changed. I may have read a book or two with some flying tips this past week and had more time to practice on my hooves, but that's kinda it. Even so.
It's subtle enough.
Spitfire finished the thought for her.
So, we need to decide if we tell the rest of the team.
If you're asking for my input, I'd rather not.
Rainbow told her.
Unless we can make a deal regarding my fangs.
I assume that means you want to be able to wear them at night if the team is in the know on your condition.
Spitfire figured aloud.
Yes, ma'am.
Rainbow agreed.
Can you handle hiding them during a show from our audiences and fans?
Spitfire challenged.
Yes, ma'am.
Rainbow answered firmly.
All right then, Master Mev. You've got yourself a deal.
Spitfire decided. She offered a wing, which the Mev in question promptly shook in respect.
Thank you, Captain Spitfire.
Rainbow stated. Soon after, both Spitfire and Rainbow Dash departed the castle to go about their own business. Before boarding the train back home to Ponyville, Rainbow decided to stop by Canterlot Carousel. She wanted to see if Rarity was around, which she was.
Oh, Master! How lovely it is to see you again today.
Rarity greeted. Sassy Saddles widened her eyes from where she stood at the counter, but said nothing. The patrons in the shop did not seem to notice. Rainbow leaned in to say in a voice no one else could hear.
You know I love it, but maybe don't call me Master when outsiders are around, okay?
Oh, certainly, Rainbow. Your wish is my command.
Rarity declared. She gestured with a forelimb, smiled, and bowed. With another raised eyebrow from Sassy, Rainbow couldn't help but chuckle. Rarity chuckled too. Sassy's lips curled into a smile, assuming the two friends to be having an inside joke of some kind.
You got a minute to chat in the back?
Rainbow asked.
Certainly. Sassy, I'll be back shortly.
Rarity informed her employee. Once secluded well enough in the back room, Rarity sat perched on a chair while her master hovered.
So, how did it go?
Awesome! I get to stay on the team!
Rainbow exclaimed. Rarity clapped her two front hooves together.
Oh, splendid! I'm so relieved on your behalf.
And you know, I was thinking on my way over here, maybe I should tell Scootaloo too.
Rainbow admitted.
You haven't told Sweetie Belle, right?
No, to be honest, she and I have both been so busy, I've barely seen her, let alone had a chance to tell her. I wasn't sure I was ever going to at the rate we're going. Why? Are you thinking of having all three of us reveal ourselves to our sisters at the same time?
Rarity considered. Rainbow winced in hesitance.
If Applejack hasn't already told her family, the thought occurred to me, but it also feels kinda weird. It's not like we have to tell everyone, but if I tell one of the CMC, I've gotta tell them all, right? Even if they don't need to know about the two of you as fledglings. I'm afraid they'll start snooping around and completely misunderstand what's happening. They do need to know I'm not hurting you.
Indeed, it is quite the odd predicament. Perhaps we should get Applejack's input on the matter.
Rarity suggested.
Hold on. I'll see if she's free to talk about this.
Rainbow instantly teleported away and returned with Applejack.
Dang, that's convenient.
Applejack remarked.
Okay, you two, what's up? I got time, but not that much time.
Both friends repeated much of their conversation from a moment ago.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm thinking you should tell Scootaloo tomorrow.
Applejack said.
She's got one of her Rainbow Dash fan club meetings then.
She does?
Rainbow asked. She sounded surprised.
Don't tell me you forgot.
Applejack replied.
I know you always sneak your way in to take a peek.
Somehow I did.
Rainbow uttered in disbelief.
We all know how.
Rarity pointed out.
You've been busy being master.
I guess.
Rainbow agreed, clearly still in disbelief nonetheless.
Well, anyway.
Applejack wanted to return to the subject.
The point is, that's as good a time as any for you to talk to her, right after that meeting. Rarity and I can tell our sisters once you give us the all-clear that you've said what needs being said. Hopefully we'll get to them before Scootaloo blabs, but even if we don't, every pony will be in the know. Us big sisters will be ready for any questions. Think you can do that, Rainbow Dash?
The two fledglings looked at her with expectant hope. It was all the Master Mev needed to smile and say,
Sounds like a good plan, Fyra. I won't let you down.
The three friends proceeded to plan out just how that all-clear would be given. Rainbow Dash stood on the main platform holding up the clubhouse, just outside the window, as she was prone to do for past meetings. Her heart warmed at the familiar feeling of glee she found at watching other ponies express admiration for her. She smiled, even though today's purpose was different than usual. Scootaloo called the meeting, but then very quickly mushed her words together and dismissed all the other fans right away. Rainbow's smile dropped into a confused frown as she watched them leave. Afterward, she saw Scootaloo remove all of the Rainbow Dash-related items in view and replace them with others. There were green and black balloons, a large circular mat, small flags, a poster on the front of the podium, and a large foam cutout. The cutout dramatically displayed a Pegasus figure dressed in green and black, with a helmet that masked their entire face. The young Pegasus filly declared to herself about being a founding member and president of the first ever Washouts fan club. Rainbow Dash face-hoofed. Why did this have to happen now? She'd just told both Rarity and Applejack she'd get this done the day before, and she couldn't enter without bringing up the obvious scenery, not to mention her natural curiosity. She sighed, uncoiled her wings, readying herself, and tucked the wings back to her sides before walking to the door and giving 5 firm knocks. Scootaloo answered, but only opened the door a small way to see who it was.
Oh, hey, Rainbow Dash. What's up?
Can I come in?
Rainbow asked.
Huh? What, now?
Scootaloo nervously asked back. She hesitated, looking back into the clubhouse at the merchandise plastered all over the place. She sighed with reluctance and caved.
Sure.
She opened the door all the way.
Wow, look at all this stuff.
Rainbow Dash flew in, examining it.
What is it?
Scootaloo lit up at the question.
This is stuff for an amazing stunt team called the Washouts. They do all these neat daredevil tricks like you wouldn't believe. They're having a show this weekend in Ponyville.
The washouts, huh? You do know that's not a compliment and nothing to brag about, right?
Rainbow asked.
Psh, who cares when you see what they can do? It's amazing. You've got to check them out, Rainbow Dash.
Scootaloo urged.
Color me intrigued. I might just do that, though I do kind of miss the old motif for my fan club.
The older Pegasus bluntly noted. Scootaloo nervously laughed.
I just thought maybe it was time to try being a fan of other things, you know?
Well, I do consider myself a fan of both the Wonderbolts and Daring Do, so I certainly know a little about adding to the mix.
Rainbow said, her eyes fixated on the walls.
Though I do keep posters of both still posted.
She thought of how it felt a little more like a subtraction, as her own image was nowhere to be seen.
How can you be a fan of the Wonderbolts when you're a Wonderbolt?
Scootaloo asked.
Hey.
Rainbow winked.
I've been my biggest fan for years.
Rainbow Dash.
Scootaloo said, in a friendly lecturing tone.
Fine. Tell you what. Let's check out the Washouts show this weekend. I want to see who's stolen your heart away from me and what the big deal is.
Rainbow offered.
You're really okay with it?
Scootaloo asked.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Rainbow said.
I have worked pretty hard to be who I am, you know. I hate to feel left behind.
Scootaloo nervously replied.
Anyway, enough about fandom. I'm actually here for something else.
Rainbow confessed.
Oh?
Scootaloo grew curious. Rainbow shivered in quiet disgust, wishing she could reasonably toss out all the memorabilia, making her feel awkward in this space, knowing she could not. She found a place on the massive mat of the washout's figure to sit on her haunches. Scootaloo decided to sit as well, facing Rainbow from a few feet away. Rainbow recalled her rehearsed approach from the day before with Spitfire, and variations running through her head leading up to this moment. She started simply with,
I'm a vampire now.
Scootaloo raised a skeptical eyebrow, which was a bit of a relief to Rainbow, since it meant she wasn't scared. Rainbow continued, again reiterating the previous day's speech.
I'm a specific type of vampire called a Master Mev. The Mev part is actually an acronym for magic-eating vampire. I eat magic now, just about every day.
Scootaloo blinked, looked perplexed, and finally replied with,
This isn't funny, Rainbow. You know how much I hate scary stories.
Rainbow nodded.
Yeah, I do know, which should clue you into the fact that I'm not joking.
But it's daytime. You don't walk or act. Well, okay, you act a little different, but it's not very vampire-ish.
Scootaloo pointed out.
Mevs can be out during the day. I can change how I look whenever I want, and right now I want to look like a Pegasus.
Rainbow explained.
I'm in my Pegasus form most of the time, even at night, except for my fangs.
So, you do have fangs?
Scootaloo asked, as if she'd been thinking it and wondering where they were.
Yep.
Another simple nod.
I feel really weird for asking this, but can I see them? I just need a little proof to believe you, Rainbow. Sorry.
Rainbow opened her mouth and demonstrated how easily she could lengthen and retract 2 of her teeth. Scootaloo fluttered her wings in place, resisting the urge to scoot or scamper away. Her mouth hung open. She took a few seconds to absorb what she just saw, combined with everything Rainbow told her.
Okay,
She said in a low voice with a quiet nod.
I believe you.
Good.
Rainbow finally stood from her place on the floor, relieved she did not have to offer any further proof.
Now, I'm making the rounds telling close friends and associates who I feel obligated to know this thing about me. It's not a huge secret, but I don't want you telling anyone else unless you are specifically asked. And it seems important.
What about Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom? I tell them everything, and they're your friends too.
Scootaloo reminded her. Rainbow had her answer ready.
Applejack and Rarity are on it. They know, and all 3 of us have our reasons for wanting to do it this way. Those 2 help feed me during the week.
What?
Scootaloo shrieked. Rainbow chuckled.
The look on your face. Priceless. Relax, Squirt, they're fine. We've got a system in place. I'll tell you more if it doesn't all come together from what your friends find out and tell you themselves.
Fine.
Scootaloo conceded.
Right then. Scratch that off the to-do list. I think I'll be on my way. Are we still on for the stunt show this weekend?
Rainbow asked. Scootaloo nodded.
See ya!
Rainbow waved before exiting out the door and flying away. A familiar rainbow blur trailed behind her.